Okay, so your first task is to think about your rhetorical analysis that's coming up. You have to do another rhetorical analysis of some academic paper, for example, or book, or something that's a text. It should be at least 3 pages. Can be, for example, an article from a newspaper, but that would have to be kind of lengthy. For example, say I want to do papers. I'm interested in this book, The Scarlet Letter. This is a very literary thing. I can do it all along the lines of literature. I can find an article about this. I can use this as my the thing that I'm going to rhetorically analyze, or an article about it, right? Now, when I'm rhetorically analyzing these kinds of things, something like this, you can right away think that they're going to be using pathos a lot, right? Because they're trying to get at the emotions. That's the whole idea. Okay, that's just an idea that I came up with. Then I found this other book that I just ran across, and it's Philo. I'm interested in history. So I can type him in. I've always been interested in this kind of thing, so I go and look him up in the databases, see if I can find anything that kind of hits me as interesting. But one of the things that in my life that I maybe think is interesting is I have to go take a civil service exam. Well, that is a very practical way of writing a paper. So I found an article by typing in some stuff into Google Scholar and the main website of the library, which is the website of the library because you get all those articles. And look at what it's called. It says, "Do good recruits make good cops? Problems predicting and measuring academy and street level success." Right away, I kind of know how to write those summaries, right? Say maybe I want to rhetorically analyze this for my paper, for my longer paper, but also that little posting you have to do. These are really easy to just sort of read them and summarize them. You can tell by the title what the central argument is usually, and you certainly can tell by the abstract. See that? The abstract is right there at the top. It gives you basically summarizing the entire article. And these are nice because you should read those, and if you think you want to keep going, then read the article, but otherwise toss it. That's kind of a nice thing to have, as these abstracts. Okay, so say I decided that I want to do this idea of whether or not I can take exams. Okay, so now my task is, again, let me just repeat this. I need to pick 1 or 2 of these articles to do summaries. Again, I'm not analyzing, I'm just summarizing. I'm saying, here's what this article is saying, and here's what the central argument is. Here's what's going on in this article in terms of what it is saying. I'm just saying it in my own words. Now, that's very different from a rhetorical analysis, which you already did one. And we did it with a template first to make sure that you got this. Now, all you have to do is repeat that process for the second one, but just not using the Ben Franklin. You want to use, for example, this. And basically, all you do is just say the authors, here there's authors, are using ethos. And in these, obviously, ethos is quite important. You can mention the kind of publication and all these types of things. Credentials, they sound sedate, they sound very learned right away. Okay, there's obviously with these kinds of things, especially also a lot of logos because it's very logical, it's very well argued, there's statistics, all that. So it's I'm already writing your rhetorical analysis for you. Okay, but to get you going on that, that's why we have those second peer postings, so that you can get some articles and then just kind of make sure you read them and that you get what they're saying. If you are wondering about that, if you've got what they're saying right, go ahead and tell me. And you can tell me anytime. All right, this will be kind of fun. It's basically just go through it, read it, and be like, okay, it's saying this. Again, we're not talking about how it's arguing. We're just saying, here is what it's saying in a nutshell in 6 sentences to briefly summarize this article. Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward. And again, there's the peer posting, which is just those summaries, and then there's the rhetorical analysis of whatever it is. You're at least 3 pages, and then you can use those same articles for that first argument paper, which is your 3rd paper of the class, and you can make an argument, and that's what we'll talk about next. And I'll try to remember to use these again and make an argument. But even right now, I can think of an argument, right? For example, I like to learn about China. I found this article. It says, look at exam-centered meritocracy in Taiwan, hiring by merit or examination. I've already thought of a way of something to argue. I could argue that this is the 3rd paper again first argument. I could argue that. Listen to me carefully, because I'm very careful on what I'm going to argue. People from Minnesota should study China and Taiwan and the Far East and how they do their civil service exams to get ideas of how we should do ours. Do you see that? I'm making an argument of what people should do and where they might find fruitfulness. And this is obviously a pretty easy argument to make. It's pretty basic. I'm not asking for a lot. There's easy counter arguments to it, right? Why should we care? Why study them and not another person? And then there's counters to those. Well, they have a really long history of it. It's very intricately woven through their whole culture. Okay, there's many ways around that, and there's lots of data on it. There are a lot of arguments on it, or papers written and books. There's one in the library I found.